Ashley Carter had never imagined herself starting over at 30. But here she was, divorced, raising 3 kids, and trying to remember what it felt like to be desired. South Bend, Indiana, wasn't exactly the epicenter of excitement. And between soccer practices, homework battles, and her job at the local clinic, her life had become a loop of responsibility and quiet exhaustion. Her girls, Tasha, Moni, and baby KJ, were her world. But even worlds need sunlight. So when her best friend Keisha suggested a weekend escape to Chicago, Ashley didn't hesitate. She slipped into a fitted black dress that hugged her curves, like it remembered her better days, touched up her curls, and let herself feel something close to freedom. The club was loud, pulsing with bass and bodies. Ashley didn't drink much, but the music was enough to loosen her shoulders. She danced like she hadn't in years, laughing with Keisha and their crew until she noticed him. Tim. He wasn't just handsome, he was magnetic. Tall, with a diamond-cut jawline and eyes that scanned the room like he owned it. Rumor had it he did, in a way. Tim was known in Chicago's underground as a man who moved weight and kept his circle tight. But when he saw Ashley, something shifted. He didn't approach her like a man used to getting what he wanted. He approached her like a man who'd just seen something he didn't know he needed. Their first conversation was short but electric. He asked her where she was from. She said South Bend. He laughed and said, "So you drove all the way here just to meet me?" She rolled her eyes but smiled. That smile stayed with him. From that night on, weekends became sacred. Tim would drive to South Bend, or Ashley visited him in Chicago. They partied, yes, but they also talked. About her kids, about his son, about dreams neither of them had dared to speak aloud. Ashley didn't ask too many questions about his business. And Tim didn't pretend to be something he wasn't. But with her, he softened. He started showing up with groceries. He helped her fix the leaky faucet in her kitchen. He even sat through Moni's dance recital, clapping like he was her real daddy. But love never comes without shadows. Nikki, Tim's ex and the mother of his son, Jalen, was a storm wrapped in designer lashes and venomous tweets. She hated Ashley on sight, not because Ashley had done anything wrong, but because Ashley had done everything right. She was calm, beautiful, and unbothered. And Tim was clearly in love. Nikki started small. Cryptic posts on Instagram, a few shady comments under Ashley's pictures. But it escalated fast. One weekend, Ashley's tires were slashed outside Tim's condo. Another time, Nikki showed up at Ashley's job pretending to be a patient, just to cause a scene. Tim tried to keep the peace, but he was trapped, legally and emotionally, by the shared custody of his son. Ashley held her ground. She wasn't new to drama, and she wasn't about to let a bitter ex ruin her joy. She clapped back when necessary, but mostly she stayed focused on her kids, her healing, and the man who made her feel seen. Still, the tension was growing. Tim's world was dangerous, and Nikki wasn't the only threat. Ashley's weekends were filled with love and luxury, but her weekdays were grounded in reality. And somewhere in that reality was her ex-husband, Darnell. He'd been quiet since the divorce, but quiet doesn't mean gone. Darnell Carter wore his uniform like armor. South Bend's streets were familiar to him. He'd patrolled them for over a decade, rising through the ranks with quiet discipline, and a reputation for being fair but firm. To the public, Officer Carter was a model of integrity. To his kids, he was Daddy, the one who showed up to games in full gear, who grilled burgers on Saturdays, and who never missed a birthday. But behind the badge, Darnell was a man split in 3. At home, he had a new wife, Jasmine, a nurse with a soft voice and a newborn son named Caleb. Their house was clean, quiet, and filled with the kind of domestic peace Darnell thought he wanted after the chaos of his marriage to Ashley. Jasmine was everything Ashley wasn't: compliant, gentle, and uninterested in confrontation. But peace, it turned out, was boring. So Darnell kept a secret. Her name was Tia. She lived on the west side of town in a condo Darnell paid for. She had no job, no kids, and no questions. She was 26, pretty, and always available, because Darnell made sure she had everything she needed: rent, groceries, hair appointments, even a little extra for emergencies. Tia didn't ask about Jasmine, and Jasmine didn't know about Tia. It was a system, and Darnell liked systems. The only thing that disrupted his system was Ashley. They shared joint custody of their 3 kids, and Darnell never missed his weekends. He was a good father, present, patient, and protective. But when it came to Ashley, his patience evaporated. She was the one who'd left. She was the one who'd taken half his savings, the house, and his pride. And now, every month, his paycheck bled out in alimony and child support. He hated it. Ashley had moved on. He saw the pictures. Her smiling in Chicago clubs. Her kids dressed in matching outfits, clearly paid for with his money. And then there was Tim. Darnell had heard the rumors. A known dealer from Chicago, flashing cash and charm. It made his blood boil. Not because he wanted Ashley back, but because she was thriving without him. Their interactions were civil but cold. Drop-offs and pickups were brief. Texts were clipped. Ashley never asked for more than what the court had ordered. But Darnell still felt like she was winning, and he hated losing. One night, after a long shift, Darnell sat in his car outside Tia's condo. Scrolling through Ashley's Instagram, she'd posted a picture of Tim holding KJ at a barbecue. The caption read, "Family vibes only." Darnell stared at the screen, jaw clenched. That wasn't family. That was a threat. He didn't say anything, not yet. But something in him shifted. He'd let Ashley live her life. He'd stayed in his lane. But now, with Tim in the picture, and Nikki stirring drama online, the whole situation was starting to feel combustible. And Darnell? He was a cop. He knew how to handle pressure, but he also knew how to apply it. It started with whispers. A deal gone wrong. A name dropped in the wrong circle. Then came the warning. There's a hit out. Lay low. Tim told Ashley not to come to Chicago. She agreed reluctantly. But love doesn't follow logic. Tim kept visiting her in South Bend, slipping in and out like a shadow. What he didn't know was that shadows were watching him. Ashley got a text to drop the kids off with Darnell. He'd requested the switch, said he wanted extra time. She didn't argue. She was tired. The kids were asleep in the back seat when she pulled into Darnell's driveway. He greeted them with his usual warmth, kissed their foreheads, and waved Ashley off with a nod that felt colder than usual. She drove home alone. It was late. The street was quiet. She pulled into her driveway, reached for her purse, and opened the car door. Then, a flash, a sound like thunder, and nothing. Ashley Carter was gone before her feet touched the pavement. The city mourned. Her children wept, and the blame began to swirl like smoke in a closed room. Tim was the obvious suspect. His enemies were ruthless, and Ashley had been warned. But then Nikki, Tim's baby mama, wasn't afraid to tell anyone. Who would listen that she was going to end Ashley one day? Darnell played the grieving ex, the devoted father, the man who'd lost the mother of his children. But something didn't sit right. The investigation dragged on. Surveillance footage, phone records, anonymous tips, and then cracks. A burner phone traced back to Darnell. A confidential informant revealed the drug beef in Chicago was staged. Financial records showed payments to a known enforcer. And finally, a wiretap. Darnell venting to a fellow officer about bleeding out every month for a woman who ruined his life. The truth unraveled like a frayed badge. Darnell had orchestrated it all. The fake beef, the hit, the timing. He'd used his access, his knowledge, and his rage to eliminate the one person he saw as his burden. Ashley wasn't just his ex, she was his debt, and he'd decided to settle it. When the verdict came down, the courtroom was silent. Life without parole. Tim sat in the back, eyes hollow. Keisha held Ashley's daughter, tears streaming. The children would grow up, knowing their mother was taken by the man who once swore to protect her.